Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all in this video. Today we are going to discuss earthworms which belong to a class Clytellata, and the picture you are looking at is seems to have certain pores inside them. This is actually what you can say the residential areas for these earthworms. So they dig and burrow certain soils which are moist in nature, and this muddy or moist soil contains their homes. Okay, now the members in this class Clytellata includes earthworms, and earthworms are also called as oligochaetes or CTs, and the subclass in this Clytellata includes leeches too. And this study which you are looking at on the right side panel, you see prostomium, mouth, clitelium, and these are the cities. Now these cities are on either side and they are meant for the locomotion. So in this class, earthworms don't contain parapodias. Parapodias extensions are not present in this earthworms. And the location of earthworms, they are mostly located in the moist or muddy soils, and somewhere over here you can see estuarians. Estuarians are basically that area where the river water and sea water merge together, so the water contains both fresh and salt water, and it is brackish in color. Okay, so earthworms are also present in this segmental area. As you are seeing, in ocean, sea waves usually slough off a majority of the sand over here, but this area also contains an indirect opening where there is a merging of river and ocean water together. Okay, now in the next video we are going to discuss about the external structures and locomotion patterns of class Oligochaetia. Now Oligochaetia contains few hairs, and these few hairs are meant for the locomotion. As I have mentioned earlier, they don't contain parapodia and either also lacking long CTs. So the interesting part is that earthworms contain clitellum. Now this clitellum is the portion present on a phenotypic margin on the ventral side of the earthworms, and this clitellum is basically meant for reproduction and copulation purposes. Now what is the locomotion pattern? You have observed it that this basically contains two parts. Number one, the circular muscles and the longitudinal muscles. Now under the influence of these CTs, now if the earthworm is moving in this direction towards the substratum, now the substratum part, these CTs direct and protrude its body, and this influence is being regulated by the contraction of circular and longitudinal muscles. So a directional movement to the deep side is being mediated. Again, further ahead, the digestive and circulatory systems are mentioned over here in a grammatical or a diagrammatic presentation. It contains the prostomium. The prostomium is followed by a mouth, and this mouth is extended with a pharynx, esophagus, gizzard, and extended deep into the intestine. Now the intestinal surface area is also extended by invaginations. Now these invaginations are meant to increase the surface area, and these invaginations are called as typhlosoles. Now apart from these typhlosoles intestinal area, gizzard is meant for, there is another interesting thing which is present, that is called calciferous glands. Now these calciferous glands are basically meant for the digestion of extensive calcium demands inside the digestive system. Now the earthworms usually contain 5 hearts, but the regulation is mainly influenced by the pumping present on the dorsal and the ventral vessels. Now in this picture you are seeing a dorsal blood vessel present over here in a red color, originating right near to the mouth towards the end. And then there are the 5 hearts as shown over here, and I'd like to take this opportunity to present to you both. These are monoecious organisms. Monoecious means they do contain both sexes, so they contain ovaries, as you can see over here, and they also contain testes. Now from testes, the substance of sperm is being secreted through vasa deferens. The vasa deferens, testes, secrete this substance. Ovaries pass on their ovas through oviducts. Okay. Now, since they are monoecious, so they are representing both male and female. So the male part is ejaculating a substance, and this ejaculation is released in the other earthworm, and the other earthworm receptive portion is called seminal receptacle. Okay, so you have to remember seminal receptacle is the counterpart where the ovas are being received by the counter earthworm. In this earthworm, this seminal receptacle is the portion, and this attachment of one earthworm to another is being facilitated by clitellum. Now the maintenance function, we have discussed it. In calciferous glands are invaginations of esophageal wall that rid the body of excess calcium absorption from the food and regulate pH. Now, what is the reproductive pattern? Over here in the right lower panel, you see two earthworms, and this process of copulation may exchange of sperm and ova takes around 2 to 3 hours. And during this process, the one component, one male organ, which is acting as a male, is trying to transmit its ovas into the other transmit its sperms into the, sorry, excuse me, so the sperms are being transferred to the counter earthworm, while it is also being receiving the portion of sperms from the other part. So representing as monoecious means both male and female organs are present. So this is the head region, anterior of one earthworm. This is the interior of a counter earthworm. Over here, if you can see the oviducts, so now these oviducts are responsible for the secretion of ova, and the counter receptive part, which is being releasing these portions, are being present over here as called seminal receptacles. Okay. Now the path of sperms to travel from this testes, the testes are labeled over here in reddish pinkish color. Now these testes secrete sperms, and these sperms are being received by the seminal receptacle part, while the counter, this earthworm, when acting as a male, secretes their sperms from this region, and that they travel again to the seminal receptacle in this region. Okay, this is how reproduction in earthworms happen. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your valued attention and time.